we have a guest, Ted Braz, Auburn resident. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. I guess the reason that I'm attending was I'm investigating. I live in Auburn Township. I live in Waterford Green off of Monroe, and we're looking to figure out how we can get some better internet service to our neighborhood. And I made a few calls, and I know I was made aware of, we have had some sort of investigations in the past. You've had some sort of committee look at it. You had a person from Kinetics or Windstream in here recently. And this is really more information gathering on my part. What has been done to date. I know they're laying some new lines. I'm kind of representing my neighborhood right now. I'm a trustee on their board. What is happening that maybe we could leverage to get better service, because it's not really that great.
This has been an
You want to roll with this, John?
This can be an ongoing issue in the township, and actually, several years ago, I did a lot of work with Spectrum, and unfortunately, we got to the end of this dance, and it was, well, you have $10 million. No, we didn't. And but in the meantime, and I'm not talking about we talked to them once. We talked to 20 guys over about 2 years, and it was rather frustrating. The broadband is not regulated like a telephone. So where the PUCO says, okay, you get this, and that's it. That's the good thing. So we have Southern Link. They've just flopped miserably here and don't really seem to care. They have a repair guy who comes here out of West Virginia every other month, okay. So anyway, it's interesting that you would be coming tonight, because we are going to launch a new dialogue with Windstream. And they're probably the premier provider right now. And these things can change.
At least for our area.
For our area, yeah. And as a matter of fact, I think Mr. Troy's going to make a motion in a few minutes here to appoint a representative from the board to go into talks with them. And there are some funding sources available that I'm sure you've probably read about through the state, and they all require the party to kick in, put some skin in the game. It just so happens we have some skin we can throw in this game. Not millions, but a couple $100,000.
We've gotten the ARP funding. We got the first distribution on that. And there's specific things that we're allowed to do with that funding. One of which is work on our parks. So one of the things they're working on is expanding the parking at the township park. Also, broadband is one of the allowable things that we can use the funding for. So the first step is that we have to get a dialogue with Windstream, and we have to partner with them. Now, we partner with them. They will be looking at not only the ARP funding, but there was some federal funding, which that's already past the time frame on. There's some state.
Might see it again next
But
year.
we might see it again next year.
Okay.
There's state funding, which our discussions with Windstream was that unlikely that we can get that. But Windstream also contacted the county to see if they would be interested in partnering with them. And the county basically said no, because Because what they're looking at is that if the individual townships, anyone who partners up with them, then they would look at releasing some of their ARP funds to the individual townships who are partnering up,
Okay.
okay? So.
So we'd have a more interesting percentage into this.
Sounds like it.
But we're talking about a large number. That is an issue. And right now, and I'm gonna speak personally, I'm not interested in doing one neighborhood. I'm not interested in just doing Waterford Green. It's not fair to the residents. I'm interested in doing Auburn Township.
And let's stop for a second. Waterford Green, who do you have as your provider right now?
We have both Windstream and Southern Link.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of speeds are you looking at with the Windstream in particular?
Oh, the Windstream runs over the old phone line, so that's about 5 meg. And the Southern Link, it's advertised at about 50, and we get probably 30. And it drops continuously, so when, in COVID I'm working at home, I have to pay for both because I have to hop between the two because one is always
There's a
breaking.
lot of that going
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
That's what most of the people that I talked to in that area said, that, they had to keep the Southern Link for the speed, but it wasn't reliable, so you had to have the Windstream just as a backup.
Windstream's been running fiber optic lines. They already ran it down Edward Lane.
Okay, funny you should mention that. My development is I'm running about 35, 50 meg, somewhere in there. All around my development, 100 meg, 100 meg, 100 meg. If you've got underground wiring, that's a whole different thing. They haven't gotten into that yet, where if you've got underground wiring to run the fiber optic, it's one thing, looping it from pole to pole to pole.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, and then zipping it over to the house. Now when you got underground wiring to get through the street, then all the way to the thing, it's a much bigger project. So I think if, an individual development would really have to contact Windstream on their own and say, okay, what's it gonna cost us for you to do this?
And I think the Party Center brought it down.
Generally, there's one big customer that
Yeah.
is the cause of that kind of expansion. I think Waterford.
It's all above ground, Gene.
Yes.
Waterford's all underground
It
utilities.
is underground.
Yeah.
Now, I did reach out to a Chris Thomas at Windstream, and he kind of filled me in on bits and pieces of what you just said, that there's funding, they would like to partner. He came to a meeting, he wasn't really sure what the next steps were. That's what he shared with me. And we got into this about underground, because I see that's a problem in our neighborhood. And he says it's not insurmountable, but there would be a cost to it. And I said, but he's looking at the bigger picture. Looking at the county, might want to put in more places. And if they're open to negotiations and talks, I think that maybe it's worth probably having the discussion.
We think they are. In preliminary, we're very, very preliminary, but we think they are.
And like I said, we've got to get more information, which we'll get into a little bit. But one of the questions we asked is, because, okay, you guys got slow or unreliable internet. There are sections of the township with absolutely no internet whatsoever. I know a guy who just built a house and he can't get internet to his house. Maybe if he had more pull, he could do it.
2
but
megabytes EB.
Eastern end of the township,
I have
there's
nothing.
there
Newbury
you
doesn't
go.
have anything either.
Yeah.
So
So when you have this bucket of ARP money, belongs to the whole township, hard to justify improving service in an area.
They wouldn't even run telegraph out there, would they?
Well, there's smoke signals still, I think it's on Pony Express. Hard to justify improving service in an area that already has service when certain parts of the township don't have any at all.
And that was one of the questions we asked him if it was here, because the other side of 44 is serviced by AT&T. And we asked him if they could go into that area. His initial response in the meeting was no, they couldn't.
That's what I thought too.
Today's conversation was
No, they
different, and he
can't.
said that it's different
That's
than
what
the
he
phone,
said
and
here,
they
though.
can actually do this. So there's a lot of questions still that, you know, we're getting one from the same person, two different bits of information. Which is why what we're gonna do, as a matter of fact, it's kind of a segue. Mr. Eberly is, like I said, he's been working on this for years, and has the time, and has graciously volunteered to take on that task.
Yeah.
And his term is ending at the end of this year, but he said he would be willing to keep working on the project after that point in time as an unpaid consultant.
You don't think you can get this all resolved in a couple months?
No.
It's only been 20
I
years.
know as a
so.
resident, you sit at your kitchen table and the damn thing's out and your kids are trying to think, I gotta get that. Yeah, I know, we understand all that. And you think, those damn township trustees are sitting over there and they're never doing a damn thing. It's not been that case. We have made countless phone calls and meetings and trying to get this resolved. And it's just, it's frustrating for us
Sure.
And it's one of
as
the
it
reasons
is
we
for
set
you
up
guys.
that.
And here's PJ can't even get any service to his house.
Well, this is the first, I just wanted the last thing I'm gonna add to this.
He's never had a TV, so really.
This is the first time that we've had some hope that maybe with what single provider
Yeah.
could expand coverage, because
Right.
as we mentioned earlier, we've been dealing with 4 or 5 different providers in different parts of the township, and no one wants to step over onto the other one's turf. Well, we got a little different information this time. So, you know, there's
I'm
potential
not-
that one provider. and
I
we can
don't think
negotiate.
we're opposed to doing this.
Somewhere.
We want a single plan, and if we have to phase in, I think people would be understanding.
I would agree.
But we want to know that at the end of this plan, the whole township
I think you're looking at the right way.
is covered.
You have to provide service to the whole township, and then you'll get it to the new houses, retrofit the old ones, and that'll be a process, but you have to get
My
the service.
argument was when they kept telling us about that underground, there are no trees falling on the underground wiring. And I used to be in a subdivision with underground wiring. Oh, that tree fell on the wire. No, it didn't. We have underground wiring. Oh.
Yeah, but all the developments have underground wiring, which is then, comes out to a piece of conduit with an extension cord on the end of it plugged into the, telephone poles.
Well,
So, yeah.
we were one of the townships that insisted in the subdivision recs that we wanted underground wiring. This goes back years ago, and I still believe that was the right direction to go. So, but anyway, I hope that answers your question, and that we're doing what we can, and each time we hit a roadblock, we're not quitting. We're trying to continue on. This is the brightest spot since I've ever started doing this.
This
And
has the most potential.
That's right.
That's good.
We've had multiple, residents come in and talk to us about this, which we basically had that group of residents then make the committee up. And I think they had much higher hopes for what they were going to be able to accomplish, but, Windstream's pretty big. You're only gonna push them so much. They'll tell you what you wanna hear, but, it's all a matter of, they're in this to make money. As much as people like to think they're our friends and they want us all to have, it's a business.
And they're all looking for an annual recurring revenue stream. They want that monthly charge, and if they're gonna get it, they have to provide the service or figure out a way to do it over wireless, which is not quite there yet, and probably won't be for a long time.
Who knows where this is going to go in 10 years? That's the thing that I didn't think that up. That's what one of the guys from Windstream said to me, he said, this is one of the things where why they're so insistent that they want us to put some money in this. They want you to be, not go, now we're gonna try this.
Yeah,
That
and you
kind
gotta
of
remember,
thing.
this whole partnering thing they came up with was because of the federal grants, state grants, everybody getting ARP money.
Access to money.
Because, this is a potential gold mine to them. It's like, hey, there's a bunch of stuff we had to do before that we had to pay for, and now we got a bunch of other sources that can pay for this for us. And that's why, they're kind of jumping on the thing. It's like, and they come to all the townships, partner with us. Nancy questioned him, so how many people have signed up for this partnership?
No,
Nobody yet.
they've been to Bainbridge, they've been to Newberry, they're hitting every township.
But again,
In partnerships, a
Well,
misnomer.
we're
We don't
gonna-
share in
Yeah,
the
they have-
profits, we just pay the installation cost essentially. That's not.
Yeah,
a
especially when they hand you a 42-page document and say, here it is, just sign this, and we're,
All right.
kinda,
Are they looking for exclusivity?
No,
no, they can't do that.
the law prevents that.
That's good.
That's the good part, where the phone companies had that exclusivity. We'll get there in a month or two. No,
Which is another reason they don't wanna use their own money to
That's
fund
right.
any of this
That's
stuff,
why
because they
they
don't have the
want-
exclusivity.
that's
At
the
least this way,
reason
if you
they
don't
want
have it,
you to
somebody
have
else is
money
paying
in
for it.
this.
Yeah.
The more money you put into it, the less likely you're gonna cut and run. You're still their partner. Okay.
Well, I appreciate the update and that you are looking at this and working on it. If there's something I can do to help.
Well, like I said, John's gonna be our focal point on this, he volunteered to do that, so, you can pretty much contact him if you can fit him into your schedule.
Okay,
Good, thank you.
can we move, move on? Okay.
Anything else? I mean, you
No,
got the
that-
floor.
No, that's good, that's what I.
We're not gonna give it to you again, so don't think you're gonna come
It's a
running in
one-shot
at the
deal.
next
Read your contract.
meeting.
Well, in that case, how much time do you have?
All right. Okay, we've got the minute approval for the regular meeting of October 7th.
I found them quite enlightening.
I had
Did you?
no comments or questions on it, so,
I'm good, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
okay.
John,
Yes.
TJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Okay, scheduled reports. Michael Cardeman, Auburn Volunteer Fire Department Assistant Chief.
Incorporated.
Good evening, everybody. I don't have too much for you guys, a couple updates and calls year to date. Do you want me to go ahead and just say what they are?
Just
2021 versus 2020, we're almost even, okay? And total calls to date is 615. This time last year it was 601. With that, mutual aid is 131 versus 144. Mutual aid received is 44 versus 53, so you can see it's quite even at this point in time this year. Total transports, 255 versus 242. Non-transports, 137 versus 152. And transfer to other agencies, 2 and 2. So we're neck and neck. 394 patients and then 396. So we're almost identical to last year at this time. So we're a little bit behind on that, but not by much. I have a couple other things I'd like to report at this meeting to everybody. I did the reporter calls. Our smoke detector program is going very well that we started, and there's been 3 installs in the township in the last month. Okay, mostly Auburn Lakes elderly people. Our auto aid agreement with Troy and Burton for water emergencies was signed today, where we're going to receive an ambulance from Burton Auto Aid and a boat from Troy Auto Aid to any water emergency in Geauga County.
Are you guys still the lead guys then?
We're the lead guys and we reciprocate to them. Okay, so if there's a water emergency in Burton, we're going to take a boat. Troy's going to take whatever their agreement is. So we've been working very close with Burton Fire Department. They do border us. And at one point in time, we weren't working together that much, and we found it to be very reciprocal and very, working out very well for us, especially on that end of the township. Our departments are set up similarly, so we'll see how this goes. And in the near future, we're gonna add them to our auto aid for fire as well. Just don't have it typed up yet. And work is underway to improve our ISO rating, so our insurance rates can be lowered. So that's a long process. I'm not deeply involved personally with it. We are working very hard to get it lowered. Okay? And one more thing, I'm gonna update, because this is hot off the press, our DOA at Ladue yesterday. Okay, I cannot comment on the details, okay, because the next of kin has not been contacted yet. And I'm in direct contact with the coroner's office on this. I will say he's a 60-year-old male that was missing from a neighboring county. So, that's about all I have. So it was Ashtabula County, by the way, I did have that here. And if there's any questions, I can answer them to the best of my ability here. If there's not any questions, I'll give a quick AED
Yeah,
demonstration.
I was gonna ask, would you do
Yeah.
that?
Mrs. Jones.
Yeah, I'm just, I would appreciate an update about the number of employees within the department, full-time and otherwise.
You know, I can elaborate a little bit on that, but I don't have the exact numbers right now. I know we've hired at least 8 new, okay, and it's all part-time, there's no full-time employees,
Okay,
okay? And we like to hire paramedic, fire, but that's getting more and more difficult. Everybody knows every service, not just fire and police, is, you know, it's hard to get people to work. But we are doing very good. We have a good recruiting program. We have a very good system for hiring, and we pay decently, so that's attractive to a lot of people.
in terms of pay incentives, how well do you think you rank in the county?
We are, well, we're comparing to cities now, like Chardon, Bainbridge is near a city. Then they staff with, they blow us out of the water for our staffing, and now they're all full-time. So, I don't know exactly how to answer that, but we're getting qualified people. We're pretty picky on who we hire, and that's all I can say about that. And we have about 35 now, and there's 3 or 4 more in the process of being hired.
Okay. What do you mean, there are 35,
Members of the department,
oh, okay.
official members,
Total,
yes.
okay,
And give or take a few.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody's full-time. What's the weekly limit, hourly limit?
Oh, I didn't bring that spreadsheet with me.
Yeah, because that was 30-some odd hours. It's
Yes,
less than 4, it's like 32 hours.
Right.
So they're all specifically, there's no health benefits that it's associated with the job. They have different hourly tiers for paramedic,
Advanced and
advanced,
basic.
and basic.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, so if you're a medic, you're in top. If you're an intermediate, which is advanced, you're in the middle, and a basic is just below that. But it's not a huge difference.
Have you lost any employees, not through terms of discipline, but simply because they got better offers?
Yeah, of
Somewhere
course,
else.
because
Yeah,
these young
absolutely.
guys are coming out of the academy, and they're working part-time, looking for full-time. They have families, they need the bennies, you know, all the perks, the deferred comp that's offered, the pension plans that are offered, and so on and so on. So we accept that, that's just nature of the beast. That's why communities like Bainbridge have gone all full-time. Because that's an attractive thing for a person getting into this field. And it's a necessary thing.
yeah. Well, how many of the guys, I know you don't know offhand the exact number, but what percentage would you say are already working full-time somewhere else?
A good percentage.
I mean, it's more than
We're
50.
cream of the crop right now for working part-time because our pay is up and we have a great facility and it's a great area. But as far as a percentage, I'd say 10%. Leave and go on to other places.
No, I'm not talking about leaving, going on, of the people that are working there
Okay.
now.
Right.
I mean, this is, there aren't many.
That have other jobs?
Yeah, they all have other jobs.
100%.
Yeah, so I mean, there's nobody's working
It's
here.
totally dependent on.
Yeah, so basically, everybody there already has a full-time
Right.
job, they have their benefits, they're
Right.
just subsidizing their income by
Right.
working our department as a second job.
I will
And-
add to that most of our younger guys that don't have full-time jobs are working multiple part-time. My son's working Middlefield, Burton, Auburn, and going to paramedic school right now. But he's 19 years old. He can, he's learning hard, but then Cody Kitco's got 2 or 3 fire department jobs. These young guys are busting their tails,
It's like being a substitute teacher.
basically. Yeah, so, but we do a good job managing it and, encouraging them to stay. And that's why we are one of the best paid in the county as far at our level. And that made a big difference when we did that.
And keep in mind, best paid, if you're talking, okay, these guys have already worked 40 hours, so, and there's no benefits involved. And what's our top tier, 20-something an hour? $22 an hour, with no benefits, okay?
Yeah, it's
So
not
if you
winning the lottery.
if you don't see any Rolls Royces parked out in front of the fire station, that's why.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem, anytime. And feel free to contact the department or, us anytime as well if there's any further questions on that or anything else. Real quick, if you guys are,
Yeah, just show us that real quick.
yeah, this AED is what you'll see most likely at the parks or whatever. Did you guys want to stay for a whole meeting or?
No,
Okay.
so you got other places to be.
About a 10-hour day so far at the fire department, so. Oh, I forgot I unzipped. This was only $3,000. So what you have is, you'll have a bag like this in a glass case, okay? And your AED pads are in here. And I really don't want to open them because they're sterile. But you'll bring this out, okay? And this is where the AED pads gets plug and play. So the AED pad connects, okay? The AED pads are in this here, which, there's a lot, throw those out now. Okay, it'll be in here, sealed. It'll have a cord on it, you plug it right into here. Okay, and then on here, so basically upper right, lower left is where the pads go. And they're marked on the chest. You put them on, hit the on off, and it'll probably say, hook pads up. Hit the on off, there's a display here that
Apply
blinks.
pads to patient's bare chest.
Okay. And when you want to check the AED like we'll probably be doing,
Flashing light.
we'll look to see if that light's blinking. It's very low power, and while it's sitting in the glass case at our parks or whatever buildings we choose to
Apply
put them in,
pads.
that light will
Plug in
blink. And
connector.
feel free to check them yourself. If there's a battery going bad or something, give us a call if you see that. The light's not blinking. You can usually see it right through the glass. And then, what it's not gonna do is
Apply
tell you whether to
pads.
shock or not, because I don't have the
Plug
pads
in.
hooked up. Okay? But it'll say, shock advised. 1, 2, 3, and then this button, which is the shock button, obviously, the orange one, will be pushed. And it'll say, stand clear. Stand clear. Which you stand clear because it will knock you on your butt. And then it will shock the person if it's a shockable rhythm. Some rhythms are not shockable, continue CPR. And it walks you right through it. It's very, I've had to use these several times in my police job. And here. So, and I do carry one with me. And the pads. So, and if you guys get a CPR AED class in here, we'll run you through it. And we have a demonstrator model. It was last minute tonight.
Yeah.
And this is out of my car, so, because I go direct to the calls. And when you see me pull up, I'm ready to roll. I have airway stuff, everything. So when you see that black Charger going to a call, I'm not just going, my light's flashing, I'm going to take care of business. So That's about it. Any other questions? I have business cards. You guys can call me, call the station, leave a message for Chief Phillips, whatever you want to do,
Okay,
or
Mike.
whatever works out for you. Okay,
All right,
guys?
thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
Anytime.
Thanks,
Anytime.
thanks for filling us in and,
Yeah.
the demonstration, that was, answered some questions we all, I just had the pictures of the, you know.
Oh, yeah, like emergency?
Yeah,
You know the basics are all still the same?
Yeah.
You watched that TV show, they had telemetry back then?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So when you hook up the pads and turn it on, it actually analyzes the heartbeat?
It does.
And it will determine whether or not to shock, so it may tell you not to do it.
It will say shock not advised, continue CPR, it'll verbalize it.
Okay.
You want me to run back and grab you, I'll say that for the next meeting.
No, say
do
that,
that
yeah,
later.
sure.
Yeah,
So we'll
okay.
have something to look forward to next month.
Where's the one gonna be mounted in here?
We haven't
You
gotten
know
to
yet?
that point
We haven't
yet.
gotten that point yet.
Okay, well, let's say it's gonna be, I'll be done here in a second. Let's say it's gonna be mounted, I don't know, on this wall. Okay, it'll be right here, okay, mounted easily, with the screws. And it'll be a glass case, or a case with a glass front. And that's how you can look in there and determine if the battery's going bad or not. Because it'll start flashing red. So, that's it.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening and all that stuff, and nice to see you, Mr. and Mrs. Jones.
Right. Okay. Mr. Eberly.
Yes, I have a couple little things. Number one, you guys have a copy of some radio information here. And I'm gonna ask you to delve back into your memories about it, I don't know, almost a year ago. These are the radios we put in the trucks so that the guys can talk to each other. And they're pretty important. And so we need to replace these things. And so Mike Ludwig, our master investigator, he actually did quite a study, and he went and talked to Chief Phillips, and they use this 800 system, which is more proven. It's the newer system, and there are two dead spots in the township, but they're not huge. And right now we have several dead spots with the radios, and so these are handheld units. And what we were doing in the past was we were putting these radios and hard mounting them in the equipment. Well, that's kind of expensive, and you might be putting radio in let's say the mower. Well, we don't mow for several months out of the year, so that's just sitting there doing nothing. But yet, you say, well, when do you use it? When you're plowing snow? All the time. They talk to each other. How close am I? How can you put another scoop? Can you this? Can you that? And they use it, of course, when we go out and collect trees off the roads. It's very helpful, because it's sort of like, I don't want to say this, but it's a little bit like having a traffic advisor. And so what you have also here is the proposal, and we would be talking about going with 6 handheld units, and there's some holsters and things like that are available, and he didn't price those on there on the sheet, but I'm thinking that if we go this way when we do a budget not to exceed, we could get 6 units and say not to exceed $15,000, and that should take care of some of the a holster and maybe yeah, you know what I'm talking about, yeah. So anyway, I'd like to, if anybody have a question, or what do they do?
No, it's, they've got to upgrade the system they have. They
Right.
want to have full coverage,
Right.
and the portables seem a lot more practical than having them mounted in the plow trucks, since they're only used part of the year, and it's,
Right.
this way they can carry them with them, and it's significantly less expensive.
Oh, I was gonna mention too, these things actually go a little bit further. I mean, like, you could catch, Aed Bainbridge is on this 800 system, and I think Newberry is too. It's just, when it's 3 in the morning in a blizzard and you need another guy, maybe it's kinda nice to know some other people are out there.
Okay. That's a, is that a motion, John?
Yeah, that was kind of a long, you get that, Brad?
Basically, motion to purchase 6 handheld units with peripherals not to exceed $15,000.
Yeah,
I'll second.
okay.
John,
Yes.
EJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
One other thing I wanted you to call your attention to, you have a list of the proposed road projects for next year. We're talking about a little over 4 miles, which is, that's our goal every year, and we're looking at about $950,000. And of course, we've already, to be honest with you, the deadline was in September. We submitted it to the engineers, and I don't see why we would have any issues.
There'll be 900,000 plus then Shaw Road, which will be additional carryover, Stafford rather.
Yeah, Stafford
Stafford.
Road's not, if you add Stafford Road, that's gonna be, that's
Let's go
plus
close on
this.
that.
Yeah.
Get the grant money.
So I'm gonna make just a short statement on Stafford Road, why we did not complete Stafford Road this year. We ran into a whole lot more utility work than was ever anticipated. And we had some rain, but we got down to a point where the contractor wanted to proceed and tear up the road. Emmerich and I said, no, stop. We already have one road torn up that goes east and west. We're not tearing up another one. So all the utility work is done. We met with them, we extended the completion date, and so all that needs to be done is tear up the road, build the base again, and pave it. It's very easily accomplished in the timetable. We think it was the most diligent thing to do, and then that allowed, it's the same contractor who's working on Washington, and this, of course, was with many discussions with the county engineer and the deputies, and so anyway, that's the situation with Stafford Road. We have applied for an extension on the issue 1 money, no problem.
Yeah. We get a letter out in the mailboxes on Stafford Road. I think it's word's out.
Right,
It's not gonna
we
happen, but
officially,
wanna put it in writing.
sent a letter to every resident explaining what I just told you. I just wanted to give you an update on where we are with the road department. We have been out patching and whatnot. We keep track of acceptable road surfaces, and we should be right at 90%. I think that's more than acceptable for a township. And we also have these residential ditching requests, we call them. Resident calls in, I need this, that, and the other thing. We've got 5 left right now. We stopped, and we're doing right now going over all the trucks for winter, testing them out, and if we have favorable weather, we'll work on those 5. If not, we'll put them at first on the list for next year. And I don't know, PJ, I know you remember this. We used to go through 2 and 3 sets of springs on every truck every year. This year we had 1 broken U-bolt.
Yeah, Emmerich told me about that.
And so we're getting that fixed next week. We currently have, the salt dome is full, and of course we have our contracted 2,200 tons available for the 21-22 salt season if needed. And so that's sort of where we are with the road department. Gave you the projects, and I think that's pretty much what they'd asked me to do.
Okay. Mr. Kavanaugh.
Yeah, a few things going on. We found a gutter repairman, installer, who's gonna do this in Auburn, actually, down here on Crackle Road. He's on our side of Crackle. So he's gonna do this west side of the building that's needed one for a bit. Gary Kaufman did the septic repair. It was the kind of at Adam Hall. We have a pretty good system up there that we put in initially. I remember Tomzik did that
Louis Tomzik.
years and years ago. This is the first, it's a two-pump system with a backup.
Could you knock on the table?
Yeah, true. There's a computer board in there, though, there's a circuit board in there that went bad. Not the pumps, we tested everything out, so we ended up doing that. The bad news is that little circuit board, as you might imagine, is $1,500. And that was a rebuild. So, everything's back up to like new there. Emmerich and Mark Sturm and I went up to the museum yesterday, just kind of looking around, because we talked about it earlier, we're going to shut the power down there for probably 6 months this winter, rather than paying $100 a month for zero usage. Everything looked good. I thought it looked surprisingly good up there. I mean, there's been cases where we've had loose windows and things like that, but it's in good shape. There, we've got to find, first guy's name's Tony, he's from Newberry, I can't remember his last name, but Fenstermaker knows him, and so does Sturm. There's a couple of stains at the peak, probably the ridge cap. That's an old slate roof. Not too many people work on slate roofs around here anymore. There aren't too many of them left. So we're chasing that guy down too, see if we can get him up there for winter. There's obviously, this is the only fresh leak in that roof. And, you know, I had barns the same way. The good thing is a slate roof's good for 100 years, but when your building's 140 years old, what's that mean?
Yeah.
So, probably something that can be looked at, I don't know when, but yeah, it's reaching the end of its life. They're hard to repair, they're brittle. When you go up, this guy's going to be working right at the peak, so he's going to be crawling across these 140-year-old slates that tend to crack. And that's the conundrum with a slate roof. They're good until they're not. It's on the agenda, but I'm going to talk about it now, if you don't mind, with this parking lot expansion.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
We did quite a bit of research. All right, there's a chain of letters here from us to Chrissy Ryan. I guess this started with the uses, legitimate uses of this ARP money that we've been talking about mostly all night. And we asked Chrissy if to amend our agreement with Western Reserve Land Conservancy to include the parking lot area, would that be a legitimate expense of ARP funds? And she responded, and I'm just gonna capture one sentence here. I think funds could be likely used for actual park improvements completed, but it may be a stretch to use them on administrative matters referenced. And I'm emphasizing administrative matters, because in another letter, and then she asked us to follow up through the Department of Treasury and their frequently asked questions. So one of them is, can recovery funds be used to cover administrative costs? Administrative again. Yes, funds can be used to pay administrative costs, including payment to consultants and/or payroll to assist with implementation of ARPA projects. The ARPA project would be the expansion itself. So, I see that as a little bit contradictory.
No, I think that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's the Department of Treasury.
Yeah.
They're the ones.
Well,
that
I mean,
oversee
Chrissy
all-
says she thinks it'd be a stretch to do it.
I don't think so.
This says, to me, the opposite.
Yeah.
Well,
Should
I'm
we-
doing what
should we-
the
I guess-
Treasury Department
I'd go with the
says.
treasury too.
Well, I'm gonna say before we do that, Fred, maybe can we ask our auditor up there before we start down that?
I don't know if he's gonna know any better, but yeah, because.
Somebody knows something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think to me, the way that reads, it's,
Oh,
No offense, she's a dear, sweet woman, but before I went with her, I'd go with the Treasury.
well, and here's the other thing, if we hired a consultant to pay these fees that Western Reserve wants to amend this agreement, what's the difference?
No, we
Well,
would just pay them the
Well,
rent.
right,
Yeah.
right, so, but I'm saying they give you the option of having a consultant, that's okay.
Yeah, no,
I don't,
my mind.
If I was trustee, you know what I would do?
What's that?
Implement it, put the parking lot in, pay them with the ARP funds. If anybody doesn't like it, they'll let us know.
That's kind of the way that reads to me.
And I agree with them.
I thought that
Can't
was,
trust the treasury, who can you trust?
Having,
that was some moderately good news there, I thought.
having said that,
All right.
we made contact with several of the people that we talked to several years ago, and they're both two main players. There's three main players, actually. They're all willing to do the project at the same costs that we talked about. And the players are, we need to clear the lot, and that would be, oh God, why can't?
We got a couple of quotes at
Can't
that
think
time.
of his name.
Dash was
Dash
the
is
one
the
that
guy
was the
that was
lowest
the
at the
man
time.
that had the number, and the other guy,
He
is
said he'd hold
Wagner.
those numbers.
Is Wagner. And then as far as the paving goes, we would go and do it like we did the driveway, where we hire the guy with the machine and we buy the asphalt. And I think Todd did an excellent job here, and he did an excellent job when he made the main driveway.
All right, so I want to go back to the amendment, or the amendment to the agreement with Western Reserve, because that's actually the first thing that has to happen. Their time frame that they sent me is 3 months to 6 months. Those are approximate. Starts with an initiation, informal amendment proposal from the landowner or the land conservancy. We've already sent them, I've been discussing this with them for months, as we knew this money was coming in. I wanna make that motion tonight. They describe it as an informal amendment proposal from the landowner or land conservancy. If we
What was
feel,
the time frame on that again?
3 to 6 months
I don't
for
think we have
completion. I don't think it's
we
gonna
have
take that
6
long.
months.
I don't think it's gonna take that long.
We have to clear this land before the Indiana bats.
Well, I'm not touching a tree in there until we get this approval.
Well, I'll second your motion, just so we can get this moving, because we can sit here and argue about it, and then 6 months from now saying it's gonna take another 6 months, or we can say yes today and get it moving. So that was a second.
So motion to make a proposed amendment?
Well, this would be the way they termed it, and this is coming from Conservancy. Informal amendment proposal from the landowner.
Okay.
So my motion would be to make an amendment proposal to the Conservancy regarding the proposed parking lot.
John?
Yes.
PJ?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do that via email tomorrow. They've got everything. I mean, I've got it here if you guys want to see it again. Right there. That's your amendment right there. The highlight.
There you go. All right, we're on a roll.
That's all I got.
Okay. Fred, anything?
Just your regular reports.
You don't want to shift any money around?
Not today. Revenue, appropriation, and fund status summary reports. And I have warrants 6658 through 6670, the ones that the printer didn't eat, totaling $39,724.15. That's it.
Okay, any public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Question on one of the warrants that does appear to be good, 6562 Cummins Bridgeway. What was that for?
Service on the generator at the service garage.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else? Going once, going twice? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
what time is that?
I've got 8:21.
Did you say 41?
21.
Seems like 2 years now.
Last month's bill at the museum was $99.32 for 0 kilowatt hours.
Enjoy the game. Good night.